really ready to some videos right now. Hopefully this can be able to stay up. Some others haven't been able to.
It's October 13, 2001.
I thought I could hear
We're
this.
in Oakland, California for Game 3 of the ALDS between the New York Yankees and the Oakland Athletics. The A's lead the series 2-0 and could sweep. Here in the bottom of the ninth, they're down 1-0 with a man on second, but have 2 outs. This game saw an extremely big play from Derek Jeter. Perhaps you know the one.
No.
But that play might not matter too much if the guy at the plate right now redeems himself. How much rides on this at bat?
You better hit that shit?
To find out, let's rewind.
Jeter, Strick, and what?
The Yankees need one to survive.
JB's no slide.
We're used to words like thrive, dominate, and rings, and yay, we're great.
27 rings.
The postseason is where New York exerts their will over the league without mercy.
Didn't they lose in the wild
World
card
Series in the past 5 years, which includes an active three-peat. The Yanks have the highest payroll in the league and just so happen to have a roster chock full of experienced stars. The last time they were even in danger of a sweep was the '96 World Series. The Braves went up 2-0. With their backs against the wall, the Yankees were like, hey, why don't we use this wall to push off and propel ourselves to glory? They won the next 4 in a row to take the World Series. The Bronx Bombers have faced an elimination game more recently than '96, though. I'm talking about last year's ALDS against the Oakland Athletics. Back then, nobody expected the A's to give the Yankees much trouble. They were a small budget team.
Look at that white dude right here.
Sure, they had MVP. They were a small budget team who hadn't seen...
But this is a little bit like Tom Brady. This is about Justin Herbert, Tom Brady. And this dude is...
the playoffs since '92. Sure, they had MVP Jason Giambi, but the rest of the roster was inexperienced unknowns. Turns out a dark horse can kick. Down 2-1, Barry Zito outpitched Clemens, and the A's smashed in 11 runs, forcing do-or-die Game 5, which the consummate winners won. Perhaps the Yanks hit that October gear. Perhaps they were spurred on by Eric Chavez's...
What you doing right now, bro? You whacking that shit? You whacking that shit,
I agree. The A's season is over.
Yep.
So tonight, it's revenge time.
Imagine cleaning your shirt, not cleaning your shirt. Imagine cleaning your jersey just for it to get dirty next day.
Oakland has a few new faces to help him out, like this young man who just hit a double and
Jermaine
could potentially score the tying run. Jermaine Dye represents the A's overall commitment to winning, which just a few months ago was up in the air.
What do you mean?
Despite everyone's expectations for the 2001 season, the A's started off bad.
Come on, I'm catching that shit with my sweet,
saves, and rumors swirled that manager Art Howe's job was in trouble.
By the way, we're doing 5 videos today, I believe. Because,
by the All-Star break, they were 44-43, so 19 games behind the incredibly annoyingly good Seattle Mariners, and 7 games out of the wildcard spot. With the trade deadline looming, the A's had a choice. Commit to their expensive, soon-to-be free agents and go for the wildcard spot, or as a small market team like them trade those guys to cut salary and try again next year. The Yankees had expressed interest in crown jewel Jason Giambi. They could certainly afford him. Jason knew a trade was possible. It looked like the writing was on the wall, but A's management decided to go for that wildcard spot.
Okay.
They kept Giambi and co. and picked up power hitter and 2000 Gold Glove winner Jermaine Dye.
That's cool.
And like they say in all commercials, gambling is good and works great. They clinched the wild card on September 23rd and went 58-17 in the back half of the season, which was the best.
I forgot the Yankees were in the AL. I thought they were in the NL all the time, bro.
League and the second best ever in the history of baseball.
No, Atlanta's in the NL.
Well, Jermaine Dye proved to be an extremely good call, and not just because he averaged nearly an RBI a game, which would have been enough, but also because he batted after Jason Giambi. Pitchers didn't want to walk Giambi. And Jason getting more quality pitches, that's going to work out well. It also didn't hurt that Oakland's young pitchers came alive. Mark Mulder,
literally, you have East Coast, West Coast. But that's not NFL. NBA, I meant. Where you have everybody teams in the East will be in East teams. Teams West.
Brewers Pitcher of the Month in July,
Which wouldn't work. Well, never mind.
in that honor in August and September. They carried that momentum
I
into
thought
the
it was just
postseason.
like one big conference. You have the Eastern and Western. I thought that was just, that's it. Like there's no like subdivisions in that.
And Oakland's pitching was instrumental to their 2-0 lead in this series.
Who are the defending champions?
Older held New York to just one run. Game 2 was all Hudson.
Damn! Look at this nigga leg, bro. Contorted, bro.
8 shutout innings. Game 3 was Game 2 was all Hudson, who pitched 8 shutout innings. Game 3 would see. Game 2 was all Hudson, who pitched 8 shutout innings. Game 3 would see Barry Zito on the mound. That's right, the guy who forced the Yankees to Game 5 in last year's ALDS. Zito, in particular, was on fire at the end of this season. And
is that good?
Still hot to... Zito,
is this good? A 1.32 ERA? They're giving it 1 point a game?
in particular, was on fire at the end of this
season. That's decent. I thought people...
He's still hot tonight. He held the Yanks
good.
Scoreless for 4 innings. But then Jorge Posada came to the plate.
Who is that?
Zito and Posada have a bit of a history. The only run the young pitcher allowed in last year's ALDS was a Posada 2-out RBI double. Could Posada...
RBI is basically you hit a ball like wherever, and somebody runs for a score, right? So let's say I hit a ground ball, and then somebody from third base runs in for a hit, for a point. Is that an RBI? I'm gonna say yes.
Again. Zito threw a fastball that didn't go in, and Posada sent it out of the park. Yankees up 1-0. It was Zito's only mistake of the game, but one mistake matters when the other guy hasn't made any mistakes at all. This game is a pitcher's duel. Closer Mariano Rivera is in now, but before that, the A's were kept scoreless for 7 innings by Mike Messina.
Damn, look at that height, bro. What the fuck?
Rivera is in now, but before that, the A's were kept scoreless for 7 innings.
Bro, it's up to this. It's above him as elbow. Bro,
The 5-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner was new to the Yankees this year. He spent the previous 10 years with the Orioles, where he saw some glory, like in 1997 when he became the first pitcher to ever record 15 strikeouts in a league championship series. But lately, the Orioles have been sliding. Last year, Messina was a career worst 11-15. And it's not because he was pitching terribly, he just had no run support with the O's.
I'm guessing it means that
Messina entered free,
i.e. different defense, where you have like his pitchers balling out. I know, like I hate it too. Like where I'm more like something that's pertaining to baseball, like what I'm doing right now, and I'm talking about football, which some learning. So it's like the pitchers are balling out, but
don't worry,
the hitters have not been hitting, or the people in the outfield have not been hitting
at all.
balls.
Everybody wanted Moose.
Musana, well, couldn't close a deal past why now? Geographically makes them an early favorite. That's pretty for elite arm and Mike Hefton booked. Not basketball, I think second $50 million arm. Renegotiating with Pedro. Make a splash of the game more celebrated rotation ages. What a bid high for Moose to be waived no trade in July. Had the money, but how about a clue? 7 million. He and Pat Gillick will love the Trump Orioles again.
And it was the New York Yankees who got him.
Of course.
They showed interest early and were really nice.
Joe Torre called me not even a week after the World Series chance for a World Series ring.
Their record for winning rings was enticing. And they had the most...
Yeah! 88 million!
The Yankees' deep rotation...
Now, is this 88 million per year? But you don't even need to play another... Bro, what the... What? Bro. Okay. You can
which
80,
allowed
over
non-Yankee
88
fans
million
across the
over
country
8
to
years.
discover they had a larger capacity for hatred than previously thought. Messina fit right in with the Yankees' winning ways. Just like Zito, Messina ended the regular season hot. You might think the pressure of pitching in an elimination game, of being the new guy who potentially ruined the Yankees dynasty, would get to Messina. But he had a strategy to counter the intensity. Ignore the legacy of Yankees heroes before him. He just treated this game like a regular old game. You know, the kind where he pitches really well.
Yeah.
It worked. In 7 innings, he had 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 0.
Was he the starter or the?
With one of the strongest relievers ever in the bullpen, Joe Torre decided it was time to rest Messina in the 8th. Rivera held Oakland scoreless in the 8th, got 2 outs in the 9th, but he did allow that double. Up to bat with the count at 1-1, we have younger brother to Jason Giambi, Jeremy Giambi. Jeremy isn't a power hitter like Jason, but rather...
Why are they called Jeter's flip when Jeter
gets on base? It was his minor league on base percentage that captured A's general manager Billy Beane's attention in the first place. And Beane added Jeremy Giambi to the roster last spring. The designated hitter had some big games in Oakland's end-of-season surge. And tonight, he's had good at-bats. In the 2nd inning, he was walked. In the 4th, he grounded to second. And at the bottom of the 7th, when I'm assuming the A's were getting nervous about needing to score sooner rather than later, Giambi got himself on base with a single to right. Now, he's not the fastest guy, and
he don't look fast, but he looked like he could hit something strong.
Maybe because there are 2 innings left, and Giambi's one of 4 A's who's been able to get on base this evening. So, Giambi stayed on first, and Terrence Long hit one down the right field line. Shane Spencer had to scoop the ball from the corner, and Oakland's third base coach, aware that they might not get another chance to against Messina, waved the less-than-speedy Giambi home.
Wait, he's trying to go home?
Spencer's throw went over the first baseman's head. Wait, who's that?
Who's that?
Where'd he come from? That is Derek Jeter, and he came from over there, where shortstops usually are.
He's a shortstop?
One of the Yankees' brightest stars with a contract to prove it, Derek Jeter was drafted out of high school in 1992.
I believe he owned the Marlins
in 96, and that same year he earned his first of, so far, 4 rings. He's never missed a postseason, he's been an all-star since '98, and he was last year's World Series MVP. Even though his former best friend criticized his defense this winter, Jeter has made some remarkably athletic defensive plays throughout his career. There was this over-the-shoulder catch his rookie year. This guy is going to be fun to watch. There was this jump throw in the '98 playoffs, and sure, some players don't have to make jump throws.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
Pretty neat the human body can do stuff
you didn't have to do that, but that's cool.
And he's more than acrobatics and strength. He's got accuracy, too, as demonstrated with this precise relay throw that kept the Mets from taking the lead in Game 1 of last year's World Series. Tonight he's been quiet against Barry Zito, but he can still make an impact on D. With his team up 1 in the bottom of the 7th of this elimination game, a man is chugging toward home, and his right fielder just overthrew both cutoff men down the first base line. In fact, if Giambi had slid, like the on-deck batter was telling him to, he would have been safe. A heads-up play from Jeter and a heads-down play from Giambi may have just given this game to the Yankees.
Giambi's a fucking idiot.
It's important to note. Game's not over yet. Giambi has a chance right here to redeem his no slide and devalue Derek Jeter's flip play.
What?
Because if the A's win and send the Yankees home,
America wins.
Remember, Jeter made a cool play when the Yankees' 5-ring dynasty fell to the new young kings of the American League. If the Yankees win, Jeter's play becomes career-defining, lending credence to why he sits atop the throne of the intact New York Yankees dynasty.
He did flop. And not the good one, though.
To a moment in history.
I didn't hit the shit. Out.
Soriano's got it, and the Yankees live to play another day.
That was game 4 or game 5? What happened?
Thanks for watching. And
okay,
consider subscribing. The Yankees ended up and then going to the World Series, which you can find out all about in this video.
Cool.
Or you can visit
another video.
It's December 1st, 2002. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a surging Atlanta Falcons team is locked in a tight overtime game with the struggling Minnesota Vikings. There's plenty of time left on the clock, with the Falcons already past midfield.
Was this all overtime rules? The only thing I do is kick a field goal win? Or is it the ones now where if you just Score a touchdown, you win.
Minnesota desperately needs a stop to keep their hopes alive.
By the way, with that Bills game where they just lost, I believe that if their defense couldn't make a play, they didn't deserve to win that game. That's a good little ball right there. If their defense can't make a play, your team don't deserve to win the game. Anyway, yes, both teams were on fire, and if Kansas City lost the toss, they would lose anyway. So if it doesn't matter, it matters who got the ball, cause everybody was on fire. And like, oh, this is about a coin toss. Those last couple of plays in the fourth quarter, where the Bills defense choked. You knew if the Chiefs had the ball, that game was over, because that Bills team could not stop nothing. And remember that game where Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer walked off the booth where they were like asking questions? Well, what's your plan now? Like, what are you saying now? You got gashed over and over and over again. You have no excuse. You can't say, oh well, our linebacker, we got ran all over the place. It wasn't like we couldn't do anything. We were safe. We were in the back. You got gashed through the air and the ground.
Appreciate what comes next. We need to recognize how a team that had a taste of success. Appreciate what comes next. We need to
He beat his wife.
Recognize how a team that had a taste
he had a prostitute
of success plummeted so quickly. How a franchise that knew how to win is facing a sad new reality. And how step by step, the quarterback is revolutionizing how the position is played. Let's rewind.
Splits the defense.
Tied at 24 on Minnesota's 46-yard line, the Falcons find themselves in a nice spot to snatch a win on the road. They have the pieces offensively to get the job done. It's just those pieces are the result of a huge fall from grace. Historically, the Atlanta Falcons aren't regarded as an NFL powerhouse. Since their first season in 1966, the franchise made the playoffs just 6 times. So when the 1998 season rolled around and the
1998 was one of the best seasons for me as a football fan. Wasn't alive, but
finished with a franchise best 14-2 record, it looked to be the beginning of something special. Behind a potent rushing attack led by running back Jamal Anderson, the Falcons pounded teams into the ground, and they had fun doing it too. The more and more Anderson got into the end zone, the more the team was able to capture the nation behind his renowned Dirty Bird celebration dance. Defensively, the Falcons soared around the field and made opposing offenses give up the ball often. Together, it was a formula for an extremely unexpected.
Look at this dude right here. He know he messed up. I fuck with Ray Buchanan though.
The rise that saw Atlanta dance all the way to the Super Bowl. However, their dream season came to an end against a just as powerful Denver Broncos squad. With their main pieces intact, came to an end against a just as powerful Denver Broncos squad. With their main pieces intact, Atlanta's future still looked bright until it wasn't. Jamal Anderson suffered a season-ending knee injury in week 2, and as he went down, the team's offensive production went along with him. It's understandable to see a dip offensively when you lose a player.
Chris Chandler was never that good. He was a bridge quarterback.
Of his stature. Defensively, though, with no major shakeups, they just weren't as ferocious. The Super Bowl hangover is a real thing that's affected teams in the past. But whatever the Falcons drank in the '99 Super Bowl, they looked fatigued over the next few seasons. Nevertheless, the 2002 season is where the franchise and the NFL saw a bit of a shakeup. After a short stint with an odd number of teams, the league
NFC West, Atlanta, Carolina. What?
Expanded to an even 32, landing the Falcons in the newly created NFC South. With the new-look division came a new-look squad. After Anderson was forced into retirement following a second season-ending knee injury, the Falcons acquired 2-time Pro Bowl running back Warwick Dunn. Then drafted the stocky T.J. Duckett with their first-round draft pick. Dunn and Duckett provided a dynamically balanced rushing attack, where Dunn would tire defenders out with his speed, leaving Duckett to plow right through him. Defensively, the team looked refreshed as well, thanks to new defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. With Phillips installing a 3-4 defensive scheme, the Falcons got right back to their ball-hawk ways of the past. Linebacker Keith Brooken controlled things up front, and veteran cornerback Big Play Ray Buchanan handled business in the back, allowing the Falcons to gobble up turnovers all season. And this game has been no different. After a slow first drive that resulted in an easy Vikings touchdown, the Falcons D locked in, snatching 3 picks in the game. In addition to the turnovers, they harassed the quarterback all day, most notably sacking him twice during the Vikings drive in overtime. But the biggest play came in the fourth when their special teams blocked a field goal by Gary Anderson, a kicker who hadn't missed at home all season.
Let me tell you something about Gary Anderson. You remember that? People always talk about that field goal Minnesota misses, but nobody talks about how Minnesota had a game-winning interception in their hands, and then they drop it. So now Atlanta gets to go, drive down the field, and go a touchdown. Yes, if Gary Anderson makes that kick, game over. But if defense makes a stop, they still win that game for the Super Bowl.
All season. That kick would have put Minnesota ahead in the fourth, making this a different game. Instead, the Vikings find themselves here in overtime needing a huge stop, a position that unfortunately for Vikings fans feels all too familiar against Atlanta. These two squads squared off against each other in the 1998 NFC Championship. While the Falcons were dangerous in their own right, the 98 Vikings were one of the greatest teams to touch the field in NFL history. With a stingy defense, led by all-pro defensive tackle John Randall, scoring against this team was tough. On the other side of the ball, the Vikings undoubtedly had the best wideout duo in the game. Chris Carter and rookie receiver Randy Moss destroyed secondaries week after week and constantly ran up the score against opponents.
So they made, what's that dude named? Randall Cunningham look good.
On special teams, Minnesota had the most automatic kicker you can ask for in Gary Anderson, who hadn't missed a field goal or extra point all season. The team had very few flaws, and they continued their dominance throughout the conference championship. While the Vikings had that historic offense to lean on, it was the defense that positioned them to win the game. They forced 2 turnovers against a Falcons team who rarely gave the ball up, and stopped 4 Atlanta drives across midfield in the second half, including what looked to be the Falcons' last drive to tie the game, as they failed to convert a first down as time ticked away in the fourth. So when Gary Anderson lined up for a 38-yard field goal to put the game
look at this. If Atlanta kicks that field goal, it's 22-37. Now if let's say Gary Anderson misses that field goal. I'm not tired, you are. Let's say Gary Anderson misses that field goal. Now let's go down to
so Gary Anderson lined up for a 38-yard field goal to put the game away. His dependable leg would for sure send the Vikings to the Super Bowl. Except nothing is ever guaranteed. And the kicker who hadn't missed in 123 attempts saw his kick fly just to the left. The kick gave the Falcons new life, which they turned into an overtime W, backed by the leg of their own Anderson. It was a heartbreaking loss for a franchise that's already experienced their fair share of sorrow. Luckily, the Vikings offense continued to remain consistent, making them a threat in the NFC the following years. But when they got back to the conference championship, even a tragic loss would have felt better than throwing up a goose egg. In hindsight, though, getting whooped in the conference championship seems a lot more appealing than taking loss after loss in the regular season. The Vikings just weren't the same after that thrashing. Between the firing of longtime coach Dennis Green, players beefing with their teammates, and wasting the last year of their franchise best receiver Chris Carter, it was an all-time low for a once great team. And as they looked to start anew in the 2002 season, their problems only continued. They opened up this season with 4 straight L's, and although their offense seemed to be getting back on track, the team's defense was awful. They entered Week 13 with only 3 wins. Given their porous defense, facing a Falcons team that was hitting their stride offensively, the Vikings needed all the help they could get. Whether it was being energized by the sold-out home crowd, or recognizing the importance of how getting their second win over a winning team could build momentum going forward, the defense came to play.
Isn't it that same year when they lost to the Cardinals in the last second touchdown?
Big by snagging 3 takeaways, keeping them in the game, as their offense managed to keep stride with Atlanta. Right now, This defense needs one more enormous stop to try to steal a win from a playoff hopeful team. To do that, they need to contain a player who's unlike anything the NFL has ever seen. The day before the 2001 draft, the Falcons struck a deal with the San Diego Chargers.
Imagine if San Diego didn't trade that pick and they got Michael Vick. Well, they had Drew Brees, so they didn't need Michael Vick. They want to let Danny
Chargers for the first overall pick. Their choice was obvious: Michael Vick. The electrifying left-handed quarterback had a rocket for an arm and led his undefeated Virginia Tech Hokies to the BCS National Championship game as a redshirt freshman.
Did they win?
Not only was Vick extremely efficient through the air, but he terrorized opposing defenses on the ground. With lightning-fast speed and the reflexes of a Jeopardy champion, Vick either scooted past defenders or just juked you right at your cleats. Before Vick, mobile quarterbacks had succeeded in the NFL, but they were few and far between. Scrambling Fran Tarkenton helped establish the blueprint of what a quarterback can do with their legs. While Fran could sling the rock at the best of them, he was an innovator of his craft, rushing for an absurd amount of yards throughout his career. Steve Young expanded on that blueprint, showing the skills to maneuver out of the pocket and extend plays that otherwise looked dead. Randall Cunningham was the embodiment of a true dual threat QB. He torched defenders whenever he got free on the edge, but if you tried to keep him in the pocket, he shredded you over the top as well. By the time Vick entered the league, it wasn't a strange sight to see quarterbacks be effective with their legs. But Vick's combination of his arm strength plus pure athleticism made him the most dynamic dual-threat quarterback to step into the league. Vick saw limited action in his rookie season, but with every opportunity, he sparked new life into a franchise that needed excitement. This season, in his second year, the Falcons fully turned the team over to Vick, and he made his presence felt from the jump. The Falcons started off the season slow, but they got rolling through an undefeated 7 weeks. During that stretch, Vick continued to show his efficiency through the air, but his nose for finding the end zone on the ground stuck out. He made defenders look silly in their pursuit of taking him down, and often they couldn't. And the red-hot Falcons looked to keep that success headed into Minnesota. The Vikings were well aware of Vick's abilities as a runner, but there's only so much game planning you can do to combat his skill set out the backfield. Minnesota's defense did a good job of slowing Vick down early, but with speed like his, you can't hold him down forever. With the game tied at 7 in the second quarter, Vick oh well, look.
St. Petersburg, Florida. September 28th, 2011 has turned into the 29th. The Tampa Bay Rays and visiting New York Yankees are tied 7-7 in the bottom of the 12th inning. Tampa's Evan Longoria faces Scott Proctor with 1 out and the bases empty. Here is the culmination of a historically wild night of regular season baseball. Before we see what happens, we need to see how we got here, establish the circumstances entering today's games, unpack tonight's...
It's Atlanta, man. So, if Atlanta loses, St. Louis wins, it'll switch. They're not out. At least I think they're... If
Tampa, but in several other cities.
Did they get paid for doing that shit?
Involved, some at a distance. We need to rewind. Just here, baseball is the culmination of a historically wild night of regular season baseball. Before we see what happens, we need to see how we got here, establish the circumstances, and...
Oh, if they lose, are they out? Because, boom, they'll be...
Today's games. Unpack tonight's events not just here at Tampa, but in several other cities. Meet the characters involved, some at a distance. We need to rewind. Everybody loves a walk-off, but it'll be kind of bittersweet when this amazing night of baseball ends. These were the MLB standings this morning.
If the final game of the season end in the tie? I would think so, but I don't think nobody wants that to happen. So let's say these teams, Tampa Bay and Boston, were playing. If they tied, they both get in, right?
There are 4 playoff spots per league, 1 for each of these division winners, and 1 wild card spot. uh-oh, and uh-oh. These are ties. Entering today, the Braves and Cardinals had identical records. The Rays and Red Sox had identical records. Let's rewind
Oh, so where is it?
Look at those standings.
But what happens if they both win? You're just looking for death?
Identical records.
I know,
Let's rewind even further, because look at those standings on the 1st of this month. The Rays were nowhere near the American League wildcard spot. Same deal for the Cardinals in the National League. These two rallies happened in parallel. They're not connected. But understanding the Cardinals' wild comeback will help us appreciate the even stranger Rays comeback. So let's follow recent NL events through tonight. While the pole position Braves lost most of their September games, the Cards hit a hot streak, including a particularly critical series sweep of the Barry Braves. And tonight, the Cardinals finished their job. Chris Carpenter pitched a masterpiece against the Astros, while the bats came alive for a straightforward, drama-free 8-0 win. But what makes tonight so captivating is how, with ties in the standings, no one team controls its fate. You can't just decide to have a drama-free night. All the Braves had to do to spoil the Cardinals' perfect conclusion was win their game to trigger a one-game tiebreaker. Atlanta faced the Phillies, who have the best record in baseball and nothing at stake. Nothing, I guess, except pride, schadenfreude, and innate thirst to cause trouble. Down 3-1, the Phillies didn't just roll over. They manufactured runs and attacked mistakes to rally. In the 13th inning of a game only Atlanta needed, Hunter Pence hit a ball just far enough to bring home the run that denied them. The Cardinals game was long over, so they got to watch the Braves collapse that secured their playoff berth. I love seeing baseball players watch baseball on TV. They look just like you and me when our friends come over in matching outfits to watch the game. It's also pretty funny when TV watching is the event directly preceding the champagne party. So that's the NL. That dynamic of needing to win but also needing help from afar applies to what you're looking at here in the AL. It's just been more complicated and much more exciting. Just like the Cardinals, the Rays had a big September. And just like Atlanta, the Red Sox pissed away their grasp on the wildcard spot. That included a lot of time spent losing to Tampa. 7 September games against the Sox gave the Rays a golden opportunity to make history. And they seized that opportunity by winning 6 of those games. The Rays entered today tied with Boston after trailing them by 9 games in early September. They're hoping to pull off a single month rally that's never been done before. So yeah, we've got another 2-game, 4-team horse race tonight in the AL. Early on, the Rays appeared in desperate need of help from that other game. You see this number? Stood alone for a while. The Yankees really went after Tampa pitcher David Price. And
there's 2 videos that said already.
It's October 23rd, 1993. We're in Toronto for Game 6 of the World Series. The visiting Phillies lead the Blue Jays 6-5, needing 2 more outs to push this series to a Game 7. Before this next pitch, we need to understand how a perennial runner-up reached the precipice of a dynasty. We need to relive the drama that's got Philly so close to turning this thing around. We need to meet the wild thing on the mound, the new faces on base, and the familiar face in the batter's box. We need to rewind.
Damn, that nigga water shit.
The vibes in this Sky Dome crowd are intense. These 50,000 fans are anxious about a potential Game 7, but also ready to explode, since one big swing here will crown a little dynasty, finally. The Jays only recently busted a trend of agonizing collapses.
Does that sound good?
In '85, Toronto won 99 games and their first division title, then blew a 3-1 series lead in the ALCS against the Royals. Toronto held a comfortable division lead in the final weeks of the '87 season, then lost 7 brutal games in a row to plummet out of contention. In '89, Cito Gaston rose from batting coach to manager and led Toronto back to the top of the AL East, but no luck in the ALCS. Similar story in '91, but last year, ALCS. Similar story in '91.
You like Minecraft, bro?
Last year, the Jays made history. Toronto won their division, finally overcame the A's in the ALCS, then took down the Titans of the National League, Atlanta, to become world champions. MLB had its first World Series winner from outside the U.S., its first black manager to win it all. The Jays did it with a strong pitching staff, an in-season addition of David Cone, and with a really scary lineup. Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar were both all-star starters who stayed hot in the postseason. 40-year-old Dave Winfield had his back year, and catcher Pat Borders broke out to win World Series MVP. And the Jays did not rest on their laurels, satisfied with this bunch of champions. Cone moved along, but Juan Guzman took over as ace, and veteran pitcher Dave Stewart. Cone moved along, but Juan Guzman took over as ace, and veteran pitcher Dave Stewart came over from Oakland. And while the lineup lost Winfield, it added free agent Paul Molitor, who had a career year in a bruising top of the order, known by the acronym WHAMCO. Devon White, Alomar, Molitor, Carter, and John Olerud. An incredibly productive parade of bats only improved when the Jays added veteran speed demon Ricky Henderson as a leadoff hitter, giving us permutations like Whamco and Whackum and so forth. These guys absolutely raked all season long and kept raking in the ALCS against the White Sox, although we'll forgive you if you got distracted by another unrelated story breaking out of that series. In this World Series, still raking. The new guy, Molitor in particular, has swung his way into the hearts of these Canadians. Molitor opened the Jays' 3-run first inning with an RBI triple. His starter Terry Mulholland off the mound. Molitor's the first player to record multiple doubles, triples, and dingers in one World Series, and now he's on first base, the potential winning run. But, hey, the other side of things hasn't gone so hot, has it? All that scoring, yet the defending champs sit a miscue or two away from facing a Game 7 tomorrow.
So if
Dave Stewart was the Blue Jays starting pitcher tonight, and he hoped to break an individual streak of 3 straight World Series losses, dating back to when he was with the A's in the 1990 series. The drought continued in Game 2 of this series, when the typically strong Stewart fell apart against the heart of the Phillies lineup. That lineup is no joke. Just ask Atlanta, who looked like a sure thing to reach their 3rd straight Fall Classic when they pulled ahead 2 games to 1 in the NLCS. After Danny Jackson outpitched John Smoltz to win Game 4, the Philly bats came alive in big moments. Lenny Dykstra saved them from collapse in the 10th inning of Game 5. Then a combo attack of Mickey Morandini, Dave Hines, and Darren Dalton battered Greg Maddux to win Game 6. It was a shocking upset, but the Phillies have been known to shock. Tonight, Stewart had them under control. He took a no-hitter into the 4th inning, then got out of a bases-loaded jam in the 5th to maintain Toronto's lead. And then the 7th inning. A 10-pitch walk, a Morandini single, and boom, more clutch hitting from Dykstra. There went most of the lead, and there went Stewart. The Jays perhaps misplayed their relief from there. Left-hander Al Leiter stayed in the bullpen, while righty Danny Cox gave up the game-tying RBI single to Dave Hollins batting lefty.
Why the fuck is that? Why does this always go off? Turn it off!
Phillies with 1 out.
Leiter came in too late and surrendered a sac fly and 6th run before he got out of the inning. Damage done, lead gone, announcers flummoxed.
And I do not understand Cito Gaston's use of Al Leiter in this game.
The Phillies once doomed, but rallied again. The Jays looked secure, but had one nightmare ending. That push and pull led us to here. The World Series hangs on this inning, this moment. So, who's going to decide where it goes? Look around and you'll see Henderson and Molitor already on base.
But really, if this thing is looking right here, go straight there. And I know the nigga speed demon. So just go to 3rd. This nigga just stay right there. I can see, but yo sauce right there. Just stay right there. You zoom over there. He probably knows that this nigga can run. But he's not looking anywhere near him. Go.
The guy who put them there, the guy entrusted with protecting this lead to force a Game 7, is him. Mitch Wild Thing Williams.
Look at his teeth.
Mitch Williams is a good pitcher. He's had a solid, if erratic, career, mostly as a closer. They call him Wild Thing because, much like Charlie Sheen's character in Major League, Williams has occasional control issues. My dude pitches like he's covered in scorpions, throwing so vigorously that his follow-through often drops him to the dirt. In entertaining fashion, Williams saved a career-high 43 games for the Phillies this season. When it came time to close out the NLCS upset in Game 6, it was Williams on the mound, retiring 3 Braves to push Philadelphia into the series. Watching Wild Thing pitch in said World Series
he looks like that dude play for Chicago,
has been an experience. He got the save in Game 2, but Game 4 was another story. That game in Philly was an offensive bonanza, mostly for the home team, who led 14-9 entering the 8th inning, poised to tie the series. But then, Larry Anderson got in trouble to start that 8th inning, so Phillies manager Jim Fregosi sent in Williams to stop the lead. Instead, Williams gave up an RBI single to Tony Fernandez, an RBI single to Henderson, and a 2-run triple to White that ended up winning the game.
15-14! That looks like an NFL
Rather than
game.
stop the bleeding, Williams ripped open the wound. People did not take the loss well. Phillies ace Curt Schilling could be seen covering more and more of his face with a towel while Williams pitched. Then Schilling addressed media wearing a pin that said, "I survived watching Mitch Williams pitch in the '93 World Series." He said Williams gave it to him. Even jokey lack of support wasn't the coolest way to handle a struggling teammate who'd get death threats for his Game 4 performance. Never mind that Schilling himself ate shit and surrendered 7 runs in Game 1 of the series.
That you don't want to be doing.
Schilling finally did his job in a game victory 2 days ago, which is why we're watching Game 6.
Who made up that last
And now
name?
Williams is on the mound trying to protect another lead in hopes of tying the series. His quest for redemption has been shaky so far. The first guy Williams faced, Henderson, told everyone in earshot he was going to walk. And indeed, after a strange moment in which in earshot he was going to walk. And indeed, after a strange moment in which Williams didn't notice time was called, and almost 2, 3, and 4. So the best base stealer in human history took first.
Got walked. Like, hold on. How does time stop?
Told everyone in earshot he was going to walk. And indeed, after a strange moment in which Williams didn't notice time was called, and almost 2, 3, and 4. So the best base stealer in human history took first. Not great. Next up was White, the guy who'd finished off the Game 4 disaster. He worked a full count, but flew out. 1 out.
Wait, hold on. Me and a fly out, can he still steal a base or no?
Next up was the guy who will probably be MVP if Toronto wins this, Molitor. Mouth stuff taking place. Williams is spitting up a storm. For Ghost, he's gonna choke. Schilling's been face deep in his towel all evening. But all is not lost. If Williams can find at least 1 out here, the man on deck is Alfredo Griffin, who came in earlier to pinch run for Olerud. Griffin's a fine player, but also 36 years old, without a single plate appearance to his name this whole postseason. Get to him, and you might just get the save, the win, and a Game 7 tomorrow. First, Williams will need to handle the fellow at the plate, Joe Carter. On one hand, Carter has never before gotten a hit off Williams, so that's encouraging. On the other hand, Carter's got kind of a knack for these moments. In his 20s, Joe Carter hit quite well. Since joining the Jays in 1991 as a 31-year-old, Carter's become a superstar, an Ironman and regular MVP candidate, among the best in the majors at driving in runs. And Carter's made a habit of sealing victories. In 91, Joe hit the RBI single that clinched Toronto's division win. Toronto's 92 World victory wrapped up in Joe's glove. Same with the ALCS a couple weeks ago. I know a couple of those are gimmies, but the point is, Carter's plenty familiar with big moments, and he's produced in this series, including 3 hits in Game 4 and a sac fly to drive in a run tonight. Now he could make history.
How can you tell what's a sac fly and a pop fly?
Be enough. A trophy-winning walk-off homer would be something else entirely. It'd be the first since Pittsburgh's Bill Mazeroski did it in Game 7 of the 1960 World Series. Carter's facing a pitcher's count, 2-2, because his last swing was this hideous flat-footed strike. One more cut like that, and he's probably going to have to cancel the Sunday plans he told us about.
I'm going to watch some football tomorrow.
Hey, who's going to watch? Watch on Pittsburgh. I think it's Pittsburgh.
The Sunday plans he told us about.
I'm going to watch some football tomorrow. Have a great day watching some football.
But if Joe Carter can make some more magic, then he'll turn this
football game
once so accustomed to falling short into a 50,000-person party. They already got to see one World Series clinched on the road. To watch the Jays win another with an even mightier squad and at home would be a whole new level of euphoria. Or this could all go south. Thanks to Curt Schilling's Game 5 dominance and tonight's remarkable 7th inning, the Phillies just need 2 outs to